the AFL are looking at introducing, or at least having a conversation around introducing a wildcard round. It's been reported amongst AFL media. And so I thought I'd have a look at the arguments for and against and get a pulse from you as to how you see this. I am a massive NBA fan. I like American sports in general, but the NBA is definitely my drug of choice when it comes to American sports. And I was initially kind of against the play-in concept that they brought in over the last few seasons. And from my experience, I actually enjoy what it's done for the game. But I think a lot of the time, myself included, I can get caught up in thinking that just because something works in another league with a different culture, with a different set of standards and nuance, that we should bring it here. And so I thought this would be the perfect forum to discuss that. So let's have a look. What are the arguments for a wild card round when it comes to the AFL? Well, firstly, you probably have that increased excitement and fan engagement. It's something new. It's a new mechanism that has never been seen before, or will have never been seen before for most, if not all of us, when it comes to this game. You know, teams that narrowly missed the cut in the regular season still have a chance. It gives them one more little lifetime. If there are teams that just had injury concerns throughout the season, I think of Carlton 2022, teams that missed out under circumstances that maybe weren't in their total control. I think you can counteract that. I think it would probably do something around the competitive balance of the league, especially when you factor in, you know, we have 2 extra teams that have come into the competition over the last decade or so. You know, we're looking at Tasmania coming in. You know, we may get to a point where there's 20 teams in the competition. So does the top 8 stay the same? Does it become a top 9? And that's where I think the discussion around the wild card round comes into play. I think obviously the financial benefits, an extra game with more at stake, more viewership, more slots for advertisers. There's a clear financial benefit here. There's no doubt about that. And then there's that, you know, the unexpected underdog stories that will feature because of it. I think, you know, can you imagine a team that is sitting in that bottom half of the ladder for the majority of the season, or maybe they start well, have a bad patch in the middle, and then just miss out? All of a sudden, they potentially can win a flag. I think it adds more drama and more excitement to the whole picture of what a season could look like and the way it could end. I think the arguments against a wildcard round sit like this. You know, you've got a dilution potentially of the playoffs or of the final series. You know, critics will argue that adding a wildcard round could do something to the quality of the final series, because obviously those teams who were comfortably in the top 7 or top 8, I'm not sure exactly how it would work, but those teams who were clearly in there were clearly the best teams consistently for the majority of the year. So they deserve that spot. So does bringing in a team who wouldn't normally be in the final series, does that dilute it? Well, I'm not sure. Carlton weren't meant to be in the finals in 2013, and we somehow found a way to win one. So there's that, and I do understand that. I think the fatigue and injury risk is a serious one. There's a discussion every year around, should we shorten the season or should we shorten games and extend the season? The balance lies somewhere in between, but I think adding another game, especially a high stakes game where there'll be extra emotion, extra incentive, it'll, you know, push bodies to go that little bit more in that red zone of their aerobic capacity. I think with that comes a heightened level of risk. Now, is it worth it? I'll let you be the judge of that. But I definitely think that, especially for those that advance through via this wild card round possibility, for them to win that game and then go into the final series, you obviously have that increased risk. I think the tradition and the historical precedent is definitely one which is an argument against the wild card round. Australian culture in general, we don't like change. A lot of people don't like change. They are initially resistant to it. And some of it is for the good of tradition, and I think some of it is also counterintuitive to it. But in this case, I mean, we have whether it's the bounce of the ball, whether it's the daytime grand final, and now we have this discussion around a wild card round. It definitely evolves the sport. It definitely evolves the entire organization of, I think, the history books as well, because it makes it a little bit more difficult to compare a team who wins a premiership after winning a wild card game to those who won a premiership in 1995 or 1996. So it creates an imbalance in experience for the fan watching it now and the fan that used to watch it in the past. Now, how important is that imbalance? I don't know. How important are the history books? I don't know. But there is definitely something around the tradition that I think the AFL and I think Australian culture in general like to keep around. You know, that old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And then I think there's clearly going to be scheduling difficulties. We are such a unique sport in that we have so many teams that play their home games in a single stadium, whether it's the MCG or Marvel. There's so many teams that share it. We also use those stadiums for concerts. We also use those stadiums for other sporting events. So I would imagine adding another round is only going to push the schedule back a bit more. And, you know, it just requires careful accommodation of all of those extra games. Logistical complexities already exist within the AFL. There's no doubt about that. So this would only heighten that, I would think. Overall, if I had to pick a side, I'm for it. I'm for it. I'm for evolution. I'm for trying things. I'm for giving it a crack. I think the added excitement and the added layer of the drama that can unfold because of a wild card round, that excites me. I've also seen it added to the NBA. So I've seen how exciting it can be, and it just adds that extra layer of drama to a season. And yeah, that's my take. I'm for it. I think it needs to be presented in a clearer way than right now. Like right now, it's just a discussion. But I actually like the discussion, so I thought I'd gather my thoughts here and also gather your thoughts. What do you think about the introduction or potential introduction of a wildcard round into the AFL season? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll go from there.